Hey y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden, and today we are going to be starting 5 new varieties of Dianthus from seed. Okay, so Dianthus is one of my favorite plants to have in my garden for a couple of different reasons. It has beautiful, bright colors, it has interesting blooms, it acts as a perennial quite frequently in my garden, and it's very hardy throughout the hottest parts of the summer. It's great as a cut flower, it's awesome as a border flower, or even utilized as a ground cover. It's really great at suppressing weeds, which is wonderful. It's available as an annual, a perennial, a biennial, a subshrub. It really depends on what particular zone you're growing in, but I really just find Dianthus as just like this amazingly hardy plant. Now, depending on what variety you're growing, it's known as pinks. Pinks is not in reference to its color, it's in reference to pinking shears, which are a special type of scissors that cut in like a rickrack kind of pattern, and it kind of like shreds the edge of fabric, and that is why they're called pinks, because the edge of the blooms or the edge of the petals look like they're kind of frayed or cut by pinking shears. It's also known as carnations, and it's also known as sweet dianthus, depending on what variety you're growing. Today, my focus is going to be pinks and sweet William. I have grown the carnations in the past with not very good success, to the point that I pulled them all out because it was frustrating. Felt like the stems were really weak, and the flowers, for all the effort that it took to grow them, I didn't feel like the flowers gave me enough wow factor in my cut flower arrangement, so I pulled all of those out. So we'll just focus on pinks and sweet William today. Now for Dianthus, there's over 340 different species of Dianthus, so there's a lot of different varieties, and even in the ones I'm going to show you today, there's going to be a big range of color and size and texture. You can get them in colors like whites, pinks, purples, magentas, reds. Some of them that I'm going to be showing today are even a dark black tone. Dianthus are known for being deer resistant. Now, I don't have deer here in North Texas in my area. If you are someone who has deer in your area and you've grown Dianthus with success, let us know, or let us know if this is just like a myth in gardening world, and maybe actually Dianthus is like an appetizer for most deer. But yeah, let us know if you feel like it's deer resistant. Another thing I like about Dianthus is they're easily divided, so you can grow them on for a couple of years and then dig up the plant, divide it in half, and have multiple plants from it, which I think is wonderful. That's something I've really been focusing on last fall into this year, is really starting to divide out some of my perennials and get multiple plants from them. Dianthus are very long blooming. Their blooms, I feel like, have a really long vase life as well, which I think is awesome. They do benefit from deadheading or pruning. So the more you deadhead the older blooms, the more new blooms you're going to get. And then for the lower growing ones like the pinks, once you get a nice beautiful flush of blooms, you can kind of shear back the whole plant and get another wealth of blooms to come about. Now, depending on what variety you're growing, the hardiness range can be from zone 3 to zone 9. They are pretty drought tolerant once they are established, and they do prefer full sun and well draining soil. One of the biggest issues I've had with my Dianthus is called crown rot, and that's basically where the center of the Dianthus plant turns like brown because it gets like a fungal disease in it. The fungal disease is mainly, it's already in the soil, so it kind of just is what it is. A lot of times I'll just pull out that portion and treat it with a fungicide, and a lot of times I just don't even stress about it. I just let it go through its season. It all dies off over the winter, and then a lot of that fungus gets killed off, and then it comes back just fresh in the new year. Now, that fungal disease is typically brought on if you are overwatering your Dianthus, and so that's something to consider. But then on the opposite side, any kind of hot, humid locations, it struggles with that a little bit as well. I have not had enough issues with fungal disease to force me to stop growing Dianthus. So don't be scared off by the crown rot at all. It's really not a big deal. You can always just yank the plant and try something else. Okay, so let's talk about the varieties of seeds I'm going to start today. I'm going to be starting 5 varieties varieties. 3 of them I'm going to be starting as cut flowers, and I've grown all 3 of these before and been very happy. 2 of them I'm going to be starting as a more landscape flowers or border type flowers, and I haven't grown these particular varieties. Okay, so starting with the cut flower ones, these are going to be Sweet William varieties. Now, Sweet Williams, they can bloom on their first season. A lot of times, Dianthus are biennials, so meaning they produce greenery the first year and then the second year they bloom. A lot of people grow Dianthus as a hardy annual, so you would start the seed in late summer, have seedlings, plant them out in the fall, overwinter them, and then come spring you'll have blooms. I've started on all of these Sweet William before in the winter and then grown them on throughout the spring and summer and had blooms that first year, which was awesome. Okay, the first variety, all 3 of these cut flowers are from Johnny's Selected Seeds, and I had really great luck with the germination with these particular varieties, and they do have more than these 3 available if you're interested. So the first one is called Sweet White, and it's a hybrid Dianthus. It from seed to bloom is 100 to 105 days. It is about 18 to 36 inches tall. I found that my first year on mine, they were about 18 inches tall. A lot of them, of course, overwintered beautifully, so I expect larger blooms this next year with them, but I loved it so much that I wanted to grow even more of them. It is a tender perennial in zones 6 through 9, but best as an annual. I've never really had issues with my Dianthus dying back here in the area, so it doesn't bother me at all. It's excellent commercial cut flower and is suitable for gallon container production with 1 plant per gallon container, but also makes a lovely bedding plant. It requires full sun, rich, sandy, well-draining soil that is slightly alkaline. I've never stressed about whether mine is alkaline. I've just used my basic potting soil that I love. Okay, the next variety is Sweet Purple White Bicolor, and this one was like, I hands down loved it last year. Very unusual. It's not, I don't think it's typically something I would use, but it was just so dynamic and so beautiful. Really enjoyed growing it. From seed to bloom is 100 to 105 days. Its height is 18 to 36 inches tall. It is a tender perennial, also in zone 6 through 9, but best as an annual. Excellent commercial cut flower and is suitable for a gallon-sized container with 1 plant per gallon container. It's basically saying all the same thing on these packages. This one is just like a beautiful, like deep reddish purple color with white outside. It's absolutely stunning. And Sweet William just makes this like perfectly little balled flower, which it's so unusual and so sweet. I really consider it more of a filler flower as opposed to like a main showstopper flower. And I think a lot of us who grow cut flowers, we're constantly seeking some kind of filler flower. And this Sweet William Dianthus works great for that. Now, the last variety I'm going to be growing is called Sweet Black Cherry. Once again, it's a tender perennial. From seed to bloom, it's 100 to 105 days, 18 to 36 inches tall. I'm not going to talk through exactly. I didn't realize that these all say the exact same thing. I thought they would give more of a description. The black cherry, I think, is definitely a cherry tone, a little bit of a brighter red cherry tone than black cherry tone, in my opinion. But these were absolutely beautiful as well. Okay, let's go ahead and start and sow those, and then we'll come back to the ones that are the pinks. So once again, we're starting with the Sweet William varieties, and then we'll come back to the ones that are the pinks and sow those. Okay, I've got my portable soil mat out. It's available on my Amazon storefront if you're interested. A lot of people ask like, well, hey, where's that link? I put them in the link. I put the link to my Amazon storefront in the description of all my videos. If you order from that, I do get a little bit of money. It's usually anywhere from like 5 to 25 cents for each product that you'll purchase. It's not a lot of money, but you do not have to order through the link. You can just go find the product and go through a separate way if you would prefer. It's really not a big deal. It's really more of a reference for you all so you can see what products I'm using. Okay, I am going to be working with my Amazon seed starting trays. So it comes with the water reservoir and a 12 seed cell tray that goes in it, and then it has a dome. Let me grab the dome. And then it has a dome that goes on top like that. It usually comes in like sets of 10 and 20. There are several links on my Amazon storefront if you're interested. I prefer to start with dry soil. I feel like it works better for me, truthfully. It's way less messy for someone who's working inside, which I think is really nice. So basically I'm just gonna put the soil in and then I use my fingers to go through and just lightly tamp it down and then run over the top of it just like that. Let's go ahead and fill up the other trays. Seed starting is going really well this year. I've really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed sharing every time I'm sowing and what's going on with my seeds with you all, because a lot of y'all are growing along with me, which is great because we can share information about what's going on. And I think it's going to be better for all of our gardens in the end when we are all sharing information. So I really kind of enjoyed that. And I found that my taking care of seedlings video is doing really well. It's a maintenance video on how to take care of your seedlings. A lot of people have commented that they're really happy to see that video because it's not a lot of information that's shared. Typically with gardeners, you see us start the seeds and then you see us plant the seeds out, but there's not a lot of information regarding caring for the seeds in between. So we're going to go ahead and fill up these 3 trays about 50% of the way with water and go ahead and sink our cells into it. All right, so I just filled these about 50% of the way. The reason I know 50% of the way is because I've used these hundreds of times. So this is typically enough water to moisten all of the soil all the way through and keep it moist throughout the germination process as long as I have a humidity dome in there. So you can see these go in, and then in real time you can see them sink down as the soil soaks up the water very quickly. The process works really, really good for me. And so yeah, I do this. I know that a lot of gardeners moisten their soil first. I like this better. This just works for me. I'm sure both ways are perfect. That'll work really, really great. Let's go ahead and start some of these seeds. Okay, for Dianthus seeds, you want to start them about 8 to 10 weeks before the last frost date. I'm late right now, but that's totally fine. These will be no big deal, especially as perennials in my area. But if you still have a little bit until yours, you can go ahead and start these out. They do not require any kind of cold stratification or soaking prior to using them. They are surface sown or lightly covered. I'm actually going to use a vermiculite on these. Vermiculite really helps with keeping away any kind of algae and also keeps everything kind of moist on top, which is great. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put 1 seed in each of these. I'm starting 12 because I would love 12. And then if I don't end up needing 12, I can share these. You'll probably notice if you're new to the channel, I don't sow massive trays of 120 something seeds just because that's just not my reality. I don't have a garden or space for something like that. So I'm coming through and I'm pressing down the seeds in the soil to make sure they have really great contact. Now these were pelleted seeds. That's why you're able to see the yellow coating on the outside because Dianthus are so small. So this makes it a little bit easier. And my vermiculite, I don't recommend any particular brand. Just find something that you like at a store and just give it a little like covering over the top, just like that. These are surface sowed. And so the vermiculite gives them a little bit of coverage, but not much. And they do need water. They do need light to be able to germinate. So that was the sweet white. The next variety we're doing, that was not the sweet white. That was the purple white. Okay, this variety is the sweet white. You know what, y'all, let me label it before I forget. Okay, once again, these are the pelleted seeds and they have like a coating over the top. We'll start with 1 in each cell and then I'll come back if I have extras and double up some of the cells. Now, once these seedlings get going, if you are lucky enough to have multiple seeds germinate in each cell, once they have about 2 sets of true leaves, you can take them out and gently separate them. Or you can just trim off the seedling that you do not want. So we're coming through and the soil is already moist because it's soaked up the water already. And then we're going to come through with some vermiculite, just right on there like that. Not too heavy on the vermiculite. All right, and then the last variety is the black cherry. You can hear my puppy dogs outside. It's 70 degrees here in North Texas in January. So I actually have my back door open and they're just running back and forth today, enjoying the weather. All right, and then we're going through once again, making sure that the seeds have good contact, firm contact with the soil. And then just dust the top with some vermiculite. The vermiculite is not necessary. If you don't want to go spend your money on that, it's okay. You're going to be totally fine. Don't think that you have to go spend money on that product. All right, so we're going to go ahead and top all of these with a humidity dome, making sure that the humidity dome is closed. These take about 7 to 14 days to germination, and they need to be at about 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit for germination. In my house, I keep it at about 68. So I don't think I have to have them on a heat mat, so I'm going to skip the heat mat this time. If for some reason I feel like they're taking a really long time to germinate, I might go ahead and add them to a heat mat. Or if you are in a hurry, you can add them to a heat mat to try to get them to germinate quicker. I actually need to start moving some stuff around. These are all my coleus seeds. And I'm going to go ahead and lower these lights a little bit. We definitely want our lights to be closer to the seedlings in the beginning. If the light is too far away from the seedling, it will basically force the seedling to stretch. We don't really want our seedlings to stretch out because once it becomes super leggy, it's kind of hard to come back from that. All right, now that opens up room for where I want to put the Dianthus. Okay, so this is where my coleus trays were. So now I can go ahead and just come in with my Dianthus trays. Okay, sweet. All right, those first ones are done. Let's talk about the next set. Okay, the next varieties of Dianthus I'm starting are kind of what's known as the pinks. So these are typically a little bit shorter. They're more like border plant type of situation. They're the ones that have like the fringed edges. Really, really pretty. I don't utilize these as cut flowers. These are mainly just landscape flowers. Okay, I apologize ahead of time. My little mom's group text is going crazy, so you're going to hear some dinging in the background. The first variety that I'm growing is called Hetty Wiggy. It's a black and white, and I have 15 seeds, and I purchased this like 2 years ago. And I'm pretty sure I purchased it online on Etsy. I don't know who the grower was. Since these are older seeds, they might not germinate as well. But I have 15 seeds, and it is considered an annual in zones 4 through 8. Its height is about 14 inches. It blooms in the summer. It's a beautiful black and white color. It is full sun to partial shade. And it says it's once again deer resistant, but people with deer, you actually tell me if it is. It's a dramatic annual. Enjoy its bold statement in the flower border. It's often referred to as Japanese pinks, and then it talks about how the pink does not refer the color, it refers to the edges of the petals. So this will be a really fun one to start. Okay, the next variety looks like the same. And so I'm wondering, I've been wanting to grow these two varieties just so I can see if there is a difference or if they just have different names. This next variety is called Black and White Minstrels Dianthus, and this is from Enchanted Dreamer Company, which a lot of y'all suggested to me, but these were purchased on Etsy a couple of years ago. And it is about 12 inches tall, large double black and white flowers, unique, grows to a height of about 12 inches. It doesn't give a ton of information. It says it germinates at about 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's about all the information it's going to give me on that. Sprout time is about 10 days, loves full sun. Hardy annual, tends to self-sow, which would actually be amazing if it's self-sowed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use all of these seeds. I've really been trying to utilize some of my older seeds just because they're just sitting there. And I really kind of want to like force myself into using a lot of them because I think I'll either be like relieved that I finally used them or really happy because I used them and they actually germinated, which would be amazing. Okay, so we're using the same seed starting cells again, and we'll come through. And I have some extra vermiculite that got like mixed up in the soil. It's fine. It's no big deal. Your soil is totally fine with the extra vermiculite in there. Adding my dry soil, going through and using a couple of fingers to push it down. If I find any like larger pieces, I go ahead and pull them out. And then once again at this point, we're just going to go ahead and add our water, 50% in the trays. Now these are not pelleted. So this is what the seeds actually look like. They're just kind of dark black seeds. And we are going to go ahead and sow every single one of them. Got one stuck in there. There it goes. And I'll go ahead and start with one in each cell and then go double up. All right, and since these are older, I don't have a lot of hope with their germination rate, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I remember the reason I bought these is because I was just really struck by that black and white. Which I thought was very unusual and very pretty. All right, so made sure that there's good contact all the way across there. Coming across with some vermiculite. Always clean off the edges like this so that my humidity dome fits more snugly. Let's do the heady wiggy. I want to say Hedwig, like from Harry Potter. All right, make sure we have really good firm contact with the soil. Come across with the vermiculite. Okay, and then these are going to go under the lights as well. Remember, I'm not putting them on a heat mat because they do take a little bit of a cooler germination. But if you're someone who's growing in like a basement or garage and it stays pretty cold in there, you might need to utilize a heat mat to keep these warm enough in order to be able to germinate. If you get past the 14-day mark on your germination, it could be that they're a little too cold and that's why they haven't germinated. I also want to make sure y'all realize, I think I said it, but they do need light for germination. So I've already got them underneath the grow lights and they do need the light on for germination. My lights are on 16 hours a day. So that's something for you guys. Is it 16 hours? Yeah, 16 hours a day, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. And that works really well. You need your grow lights on minimum 12 hours. I suggest more closer to 14 hours. I do 16 hours, especially because I feel like these strip lights aren't as strong as some of my other lights. It looks like about time. These are all my dahlias right here, my seed dahlias. I think I need to start moving them over to the bigger grow rack. And I'm checking on, I don't see my tomatoes starting as of yet, but hopefully soon. They've got a heat mat on there. I'm keeping them warm. They should be pretty soon because I think we're like at 4 days with those. But yeah, everything's looking really good. We still have a lot more seeds to start. So I want to do this whole round of Dianthus. It's just to show you guys, you can grow them as a cut flower, you can grow them as a landscape flower. So I'm really excited to have more of these. And I was really happy with the sweet series that I got from Johnny's that I did last year. Very, very happy with that. So definitely would like to grow more of these, especially as they act as a perennial in my garden. That would be amazing because yes, they're going to bloom throughout the season. These aren't large enough plants that they're going to take up so much room. I could grow sunflowers in between them and it would be great. So I'm going to try to do a lot of that this year, layering different crops in with one another. So once it gets too hot for my snapdragons, I want to do something like tuck in zinnia seeds or tuck in sunflower seeds or something like that. So that once like something like the snapdragons are too hot to bloom, then I can come through immediately with another crop of blooms. I'm going to try to do that. I don't really want to have any beds that aren't doing anything this year. So, and basically during the hots of the summer, there's not a lot I can grow during the hots of the summer with the exception of sunflowers and zinnias. So that's pretty much what's going to end up happening with a lot of the beds that once the end of the spring is through and we get to hot weather, they're all going to die back. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you have grown Dianthus or if you have a favorite variety of Dianthus, let us know. I am dying to know if anybody has grown the minstrels or the heady wiggy. the black and whites. I would love to know if you've grown them, if you've had success, if it's worth it, but they just look so unusual and so unique. I'm excited. I hope I have at least a little bit of success with them so I can tuck them into my garden. As always, make sure you hit that like, as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Every time you guys leave a comment or like the video, it helps grow my channel. Even if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, just go ahead and leave it a little emoji for me. I'm happy with that, and that makes me excited. I have a hard time commenting on videos, other people's videos as well, because I don't want to say something wrong. And then make sure you check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.